Luckily, we're in Chicago, which had been printing capital of the country for a period of time. And a lot of the presses are not terribly difficult to find, and they're also not terribly expensive if you have the ability to move them and you have space to put them in. And knock on wood, we've been in this space for 7 years and we've had no trouble at all with any of the presses. With regular oiling, they just work really well. I'm Jennifer Farrell. We are in the lovely Ravenswood neighborhood of Chicago, and this is Starshaped Press. We do all letterpress printing, and we do a very old-fashioned version of letterpress printing where we collect, restore, maintain, and only work with antique metal and wood type for all of the projects that we print, which ranges from business cards all the way up to posters. Letterpress printing was a standard means to print just about everything up until about mid-20th century. You would probably most recognize it as maybe the way wanted posters looked in old films, and that's pretty much the same style and methodology that we use to print everything that we're doing now, but we have a slightly more modern aesthetic going into it. I think that letterpress never really died. It just transferred itself from being the means to mass produce everything that we were used to seeing and moved into more of a fine arts area. And we try really hard to work within the niche market that we're in, which is using strictly all the old materials. There's a lot of letterpress work that's going on now that takes advantage of new technology where you can design everything digitally and just have a plate made somewhere and then you print the plate and you're good to go. And that's great, but it has a very different look than what we're doing, and so we're always trying to make sure that people are pretty aware of the style of work that we're doing and why it's different. And we have a couple open houses every year so people can really come and get their hands dirty and see what it actually looks like and what goes into the process. The pieces look handmade, and even though we're using this equipment, there's still enough of a gray area in how things print and how they come together to kind of give you that handmade feel. And people like that our products look less than perfect because we're used to having everything be perfect now and crisp and clean because it's all computer generated, whereas what we're dealing with, some of the type is really old. We've got type that's over 100 years old and it has nicks in it and scratches, or some of it's not printing quite as well, but we print it anyway because it just looks really interesting. And we design a project, but we don't actually have it done until it's printed, and then we really see what the type will look like at that point. There's always surprises on the press. I think people like to see that, and they like to see that they're supporting someone who is making something with their hands as opposed to having it churned out really quickly on the computer, because it's become so common that it's harder to find people who are willing and able to work in a way that promotes the fact that it was made by humans. Size-wise, the studio is perfect for us, and we love the neighborhood because we feel like Ravenswood has a great mix of industrial and the arts, and we're always straddling the line between the two. So we'll be staying in this space for a long time, and we can always build up in here if we need to. We don't really need equipment anymore. We basically just collect type that's interesting to print with. So we're really going to just keep working on this niche market that we're in of working with the antique materials.